There was a meeting that happened last week where the GOP senators were called in. There were no aides. There's no staff members. This was just senators. And the guys that are our friends, Cruz, Mike Lee, these guys they're just not going to say, they're not going to do anything unethical. In fact, Mike had a long conversation with me yesterday, right before he went on the air to talk about something else. And I said, Mike, I want to know what's going on. And he said, Glenn, I just feel that it is unethical for me to say it. And I'm just not going to do anything unethical. Do I want to? Oh, yes. Yes, I do. But it was a private meeting. That's the way it was set up. And we had quite a little argument about it, if you will. But in the end, I trust Mike, and I trust that he is a good and ethical man, and I'm not going to ask him to do something that goes against his conscience and against, quite honestly, I know he prays about it. Same thing with Ted Cruz. Well, yesterday, as we're going through all of this, somebody in my office gets a phone call from a guy who is not on our usual list of friends. A guy who, if I gave you this name, you would say, well, he's not on our side. He's not like John McCain, but he's not necessarily somebody you think of as on your side. And I don't think this guy is, quite honestly, on our side. This guy is just disgusted by what happened and is one of those guys who was sitting in this meeting, not saying anything, but watching everybody and realizing, I think my friends, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I think my friends are not friends of the Republic, not friends of freedom of speech. Now, he gave me some information, and I am not going to talk about how I just don't want to. Stu, you want to help me here? Because I usually get into trouble in these points.
This is usually what happens, yes. Mm-hmm. I was concerned when you described this person to me that you may be being fed false information or potentially information that's not completely accurate.
And so I explained to him off air, confidentially, how we verified and everything else.
Yes, and you wouldn't give me the name of the person. Thank you for that. But
right.
You did.
But will you verify without verifying that?
Well, you don't need to go through the process of how you tried to verify this information, but I believe it was a process that holds some credibility.
Okay. So here's what happened. As you know, I think Mike Lee and Ted Cruz, it may have just been Mike Lee, last week spoke out on a radio program. Hugh Hewitt, I believe it was on his program. And he gave some details about what had happened at a meeting. He has now come back. He has not recanted that, but he has now said it's just not worth the trouble to say all of that. It's not, because it's going to take us off track of what our real goal is. And what our real goal is to get spending under control, to stop the progressive movement, and to stop the implementation of Obamacare, which is going to destroy our economy. So what he said was that they were dressed down in a meeting and torn apart and humiliated. Let me give you the specific name and what was said now by one senator, and there were two that were the ringleaders, and so far I only have the name of one, but I believe I will have the name of the other, hopefully by the end of the day. Here is what happened. As they are all standing in there, they are told in not so many words, that they are on the wrong side. That these people have been here for a very long time. And you new senators come in and you think you know it all. And if anyone is working with the Senate Conservatives Fund or FreedomWorks, you're a traitor. Because
was that the actual word used?
The actual word was not traitor, and I'll get into it in a second. The actual word was not traitor. They couldn't remember the actual word. They said, but that's what everybody heard. And that's what set this guy off, because he was like, yeah, you put them in their place. And then when he heard the word, and he doesn't remember what it was, but he translated it as traitor, and he was like, whoa, that's a little strong. Remember, these are senators. And senators are always, the good senator, my friend. He said this was a bloodbath. This was very, very unlike anything senators do. In fact, I think I saw from the Hugh Hewitt transcript, I think I saw that Ted and Mike came out and said something at first, because they said they're very comfortable. If a tape ever came out, they're very comfortable with what they said. But they know the American people would be very uncomfortable. Now, you would have to ask yourself, I wonder if there were any tapes being made. I wonder if there were any recording devices that were capturing this. I don't know. But boy, in today's world, I sure would be sweating up a storm. So this senator, a senior senator, said that these guys are trying, FreedomWorks and the Senate Conservative Fund are trying to destroy the Senate as they have worked hard to put it together. They are trying to destroy the Republican Party, and that you're a traitor, in so many words. Now, another senator, who I don't have the name, another senator then stood up and said, I want you to know FreedomWorks and the Senate Conservatives Fund worked hard to unseat me, and I want you to be very clear on this. If any of you take $1 from either FreedomWorks or the Senate Conservatives Fund, you're an enemy of mine. I think I know who that senator is. I think Pat knows, too. But it's pure speculation on who that is. But the one who wanted everybody to know that you're a traitor, his name is Senator Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is coming out on television and being all pie-eyed, happy-faced. But Mitch McConnell is a ruthless authoritarian leader of the GOP. So what I want to bring you is a message today, the same message I brought you last week, and that is, it's time to defund the GOP. We've tried to play nice. We've tried to coerce. We've tried to, in a nice way. We've tried to bring them along. We've tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. We've tried to do all of those things. They have announced themselves as superior. They have announced themselves as knowing more than what the people know. When new guys come in and they are fresh off the campaign trail and they have been with the people, they're not wearing the fancy cufflinks that say the U.S. Senate. They're not used to pumping their gas in the basement of the Capitol building. They haven't had a lifetime of being known as senator. They're still known as Mike or Ted. They may even be a little uncomfortable with the title senator. They don't get offended if somebody says, "Hey, Mitch." They don't look at you and say, "I've worked really hard to get the name, the title senator." We've heard this before. Instead of saying, "Thank you, It's good to have reinforcements here. They will run on, we're against progressive policies. We're against an over-bloated government. We're against Obamacare. They may run on those things, but they are definitely not against those things. They will not do what needs to be done. They will appear to be doing those things, but they will not be doing them. Know it as clear as day. Mitch McConnell is not, he is a member of the GOP. He is not a constitutionalist. He is not a guy that sees anybody who says, hey, I've been standing with my kids, and a sign saying, hey, stop the taxes. Get the IRS under control. Do you know why they haven't been having more hearings on the IRS? Do you want to know why they're not really investigating what the IRS is doing to the Tea Party? Because people like Mitch McConnell want that. They want the IRS to hassle the people who are against them in Washington, D.C. It's not just a Democratic disease. It is a progressive disease. They want it. They need it because they will use it to destroy people. Now, here's the message I bring you today. If you actually care about the Constitution, there has to be a new party. And I am not interested in starting a third party. I'm not interested in anybody starting a third party. I'm interested in kicking the people out of the Republican Party and sending them over to the Democrats. Because there are some Democrats over there that don't agree with Maxine Waters. You go stand over there and you duke it out between Maxine Waters and you. You go ahead. You believe in big government. She believes in bigger government. Ooh, ooh. Thanks for the big difference in choice.